This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pointy Bakery. If you're located in the Pointy area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pointy Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, are you good?
Yeah, I was recording.
Okay, cool. All right, so you might be wondering why everything looks super different now. It's because we had a crazy mishap with Discord, and now we're trying Zoom. Yeah. Okay, so all right, let's just jump right into it's so much on my mind, but now that we had that whole like mishap in the beginning, I'm like flustered by it. I'm like, all right, recenter, let's go.
Yeah. I'll stick to whatever time we have, but an hour at least. So.
Okay, cool. From now.
Yeah.
Unless it kicks us off at 40. So if it kicks off, sorry about that. Okay, one thing I really wanted to bring up before we go into like Hanuman and like virtual reality and stuff, and not even Hanuman, is Monkey Man. I wonder if, okay, how do I put this? I've fully accepted that some people, no, hold on. Wait. In our world, people will not change. And I really believe that we have these different types of people or like different types of personalities that we kind of grow into, and it's almost impossible to shift a behavior. And it becomes like an unconscious bias. Okay. So what I mean by this is like, we're doing like a lot of work, like especially in the nonprofit space, you do a lot of work on unconscious bias and like stereotyping, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, people are like really into that right now.
Yeah.
DI stuff. So what I wonder is that even possible to erase your inherent racism without? No, maybe that's just the question. Is it impossible to erase your inherent racism? So, all right, let me preface this. So I was listening, this phasing in and out is so weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was random. So I was listening to this person talk about something they went to, and they were like, oh, I was in Malvern. Okay. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then they were like, yeah, I was listening to this talk or whatever. And like, you know, they're talking about how, you know, how Scarborough's so poor. And I was like, wow, that's racist. And then he's like, for Scarbarians, people that are from Scarborough, and I'm literally wearing my Scarborough shirt right now and when I was listening to this thing. And they were like, you know, resilience and grit are just built into them because they had no choice because their life is so hard. And I was like, that's like, how do you say you're racist without saying you're racist, bro?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, how do you generalize an entire populace? There are different like areas of Scarborough. You know, if you go to the bluffs, if you like, we grew up in Port Union for Scarborough, so it's like, no, there are rich pockets, but if you come at it with that kind of blanket mentality, like that's just racist, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, is that racist or is that just the way you think? And I want to get your thoughts on that. Because it's like, I don't think that people can change from that. It's just, that's just your like default setting. And then you move to the world. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. I don't know about, I think things take time for something like that to change. It depends on if they see continuous, that's all what they're seeing or what they're looking at. That's just their own biases being
Like
bombard
reinforced.
reinforced with that information,
So
right?
they already came in being like, oh yeah, Scarborough's
Yeah,
a
so
port.
if they already have that, and then that's what they read about, or that's what they're seeing,
Hmm.
it can be like that. But I feel like if the way to change that would only be to show the other parts, but like it's not that easy to change, right? It takes
Yeah, totally.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
for
it's
sure.
already been reinforced with so many things that sometimes it's as a person you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm right? Like
Yes.
that's
Yes. Oh, actually, I think you're right with that, the I'm right part, because I heard this on a different podcast. They were saying like narcissists don't believe that they're ever in the wrong,
mm-hmm,
right? Because you're like, oh, it's me, me, me. And the capacity to even question, like, am I correct in this situation is what shows that you are not a narcissist, right? And like, what I mean by that is the simple act of questioning you could be incorrect breaks down the automatic barrier for your like racist stereotype.
yeah,
But isn't what I just said like a racist stereotype though? It's like, oh, they're just not going to change. But that's life experience though. I was like, I really don't think so. Like I was fully believing that, like if you look into the history, like my past, like yoga and martial arts will change people. And then like
mm-hmm,
as I go through it and like I interact more with the world, I'm like, no, we're set in our ways and you just have to find your pockets,
mm-hmm.
you know? Do you agree? Or like,
uh in some ways, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like me and my sister were eating at this like Italian restaurant and we were looking around and we're like, there's no way that if I told you if I champion like diversity, equity, inclusion to you people, you'd be like, shut up, bro. I'm eating my like pasta right now. You
mm-hmm,
know what I mean? And I was like, oh, nobody cares. Like if I tell you about like aliens, if I tell you about like the world's gonna blow up, everyone's got their own opinion and they're gonna stick to that opinion.
sure.
Right. And like,
Yeah, I think that's
do you get what I'm saying?
no, that's a general case. Yes, something has to be drastic enough in order for the person to change,
Yes. Yes. And I
right?
don't think
That's more like life altering events. Like those are the
for
things that could
sure.
change somebody.
But then do you think anybody actually has that ability or that capacity or that like willingness to go through a life altering change?
No, because the whole point is, as a species, it's about survival. Your instinct
Mm,
is
yeah.
survival,
Yes.
right?
Oh, for sure. Maybe that's what people mean when they're like, you have to elevate beyond your animal instincts, which is like survival. You're just like, okay, let me see if I can, if survival's not if like it's not an issue anymore, if we're all like thriving, then from there you can build greater capacities.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just like the fight or flight mode that's making us like in this way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the fight or flight, I also disagree with that because I think that you need to be in fight or flight and shape your behavior in that fight or flight mode because because when your back is against the wall, you become a whole different person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like it's like, oh, I have no money. Oh, I have no food. Oh, I have no shelter. You're gonna be like your back is against the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some people can still maintain who they are despite those things. And I think you need to put yourself in those situations in order to find out who you truly are and then build back from there.
Right.
Like you need a
Those,
strong
I guess,
foundation.
I
Does that
guess
make
those are,
sense?
yeah. I guess those are mini life altering things that you're doing to
It's like
make.
training.
Yeah.
Like you're slowly building up that capacity.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and here's the crazy part. I think that most people that are in positions of power have never done that. I really think so. I think most people haven't done that, and I think a lot of people in positions of power, like especially when you play the corporate game, right? You're like, oh, I want to get to the next level, and then you have to lie, cheat, and steal. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like a meritocracy. It's not like it's like who you know, what position you can get, whose influence you can buy. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the corporate world. And then those tendencies kind of built a bad leader.
Sure. Okay.
And that's kind of why our world is running the way it is. Like if we really the people that should be leaders don't necessarily want to be leaders. They're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like thrust upon that, like you're too good, you have to do this thing. We need you to do this thing. Right. But they're not going to put their hand up first.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that put their hand up first are probably not the people you want.
Right.
You agree?
Yeah, 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 sure.
And then maybe that is how we are in this situation now of like, why does everything feel so uneasy? Why is like the gas prices, the carbon tax, like what are we doing out here?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Because like let's not forget that I didn't think this would go political, but let's not forget that Trudeau was a school teacher.
Hmm.
Okay, like you're not a doctor, you're not like a lawyer, you're literally just a school teacher who
Right.
became a the prime minister.
Hmm.
So it's like we know school teachers. We're in that age category now, and you're like, oh, that guy's kind of weird. But you can still make it to that position because it's all about influence. We are like popularity voting our leaders.
Hmm.
We're not like actually thinking it through. Are you the best one? No, you're just the one that's there, that's gained the most influence. Do you agree? Or do you see
In
like some
some
flaw
ways,
in that
yeah,
thought?
yeah, yeah. No, no. In some scenarios, yeah, of course.
And I think there's no way around it. There's no way back. Like, I really don't think that we can manage the situation.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's far and few between when we get good leaders,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. And you're
Yeah.
like, we lucked out, but it's like, no, this should be the status quo. You know what it is? Okay. Actually, all right. So I guess this is just gonna sound racist, but like it's an upbringing. And this is what I mean. Cause it's like I know certain people that I can like execute certain deliverables on. Like you and me on this podcast, all right? So it's like the fact that we just keep doing it and we're like, oh, we problem solved, like we're now on Zoom instead of um
Discord.
like Discord. Yeah, yeah, because of the error, right?
Hmm.
But it's like, no, we just problem solved our way through that. That's like Asians are built different, bro. And I really believe that. Like watching the way that different systems operate, it's like, I don't know what it is in our upbringing that's just like, you gotta get it done though.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, again, that's our background, right? Where we come from, in a sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, like
to
it's not all the way true because I can think of other Asians who don't
no,
do
no,
that,
no, no, no,
but it's like,
no, no. What I'm saying is like in general, it's like I'm saying the ones that are here or you've grown through a different set of community um, to to adapt or to change in some form to
yes, I know what you
belong,
mean. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that I don't that those are some skills that you get to the point where it's like you can like problem solve how to solve a solution, like to not be in
Yes,
some
yes,
problem,
yes, yes.
right?
Because we could have
But
easily been like, well, I mean, like I was like, all right, let's just do audio, and you were like, wait, there's Zoom, and I'm like, all right, cool,
yeah, right.
but like we had the objective, and we're like, how are we gonna get to that objective?
Hmm.
And we'll adapt the way because like yeah when our parents first came like their first generation we're first generation so our parents were immigrants it's like they had to figure out how to adapt to the scenario but I feel like the people that were here first not to harp on colonials but like it's just you were there and then it's like you just took it over there's no like hunger or like drive like there's hunger and drive but like it's different
In some, it just depends.
you
Yeah,
know
it's not as many, right? But the growth is always going to be within the immigrant population because they're come here to make a change, right?
yeah I see what you're saying yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Right.
already the mindset's
Maybe like
different
eventually our generations will end up becoming like that, or the future
lazy
generations.
yeah,
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 yeah.
which is
That's true because they didn't have to work for anything.
right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
even when the first colonials came, it's the same way, right? It's not a
True, 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 true. You're right, actually. You're right, actually. Yeah, because like if you all right, so look at the history of like how they kicked out the indigenous people. They came, they made a deal. I don't know if people know this, but I like learned this as history. Like we had to take this course as like a part of like a DI initiative. I'm like, dude, what? Nobody knows this. So they came here. They made a pact with the indigenous people to fight off the Americans. That's why it's like the
mhm.
three-party treaty. It's like the British, French, and the indigenous. And then all three of them worked together with this wampum belt thing. Like the wampum belt was like their contract. But they're like, well, it's just a belt. It's not words. So whatever. That's
Mhm.
why they were able to like disregard that but they worked as a trio in order to kick out the Americans. And then when the Americans were gone, the two others tricked the indigenous into living on reserves. Like they're like, oh, we're just
Hmm.
gonna put you in this place, like this is your area. But while they kept them there, they started building up cities and like populaces. So when the time came for the indigenous to leave, like some would try and leave and they'd see it, they'd be like, well, this development is here. And then when they finally release them, it's like, oh, we have cities now. We have all this built up. You have
Hmm.
nothing. And it's like that's how we can control you, right? But that's like what you were saying is when they first got here, that's like cunning. Like if you look, obviously that's terrible, like that example. But if you look at it as like just a strategic move, that's pretty cunning.
Hmm.
So they had to be cunning, and then now you can relax, the mind can relax, and then now you can get lazy. So you're right. Like when they first came,
Right.
it was probably like that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Just trivia.
then, yeah, then you get used. Then you become accustomed to the normal. So there's no
Yeah,
real,
yeah, yeah.
in that sense of a struggle or change.
Yeah, it was just throwing me off because like this whole thing, this whole conversation, this section started with like me being
Hmm.
confused as to why you would say that thing about
Yeah,
like all Scarbarians being poor and like the they're so resilient because they're so poor and they had to build their way up. And it's like that just sounds racist, bro. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like negatively racist,
Right.
you know, or like ignorant on your part.
Hmm.
Because the person who was saying it was like Caucasian, comes from a nice area. So I was like, ew, this is not a good look.
Yeah, but it's like I wonder if he thinks, how does he view Pickering, or how does he view like
I know,
Barry
right? He's
area?
like,
Like
yeah,
I would view
right.
them as a little bit on the poor side, but they're
Oh,
more
Pickering
white.
and stuff.
Or Barry.
True, 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 true. But you know, it's more. I think it's just like him seeing like the other. Like I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
It's just
there's this just
you
the
know like
wordings are
stereotype
bad.
bias.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like maybe because like when you have all right, when people are like, there's no unconscious bias. Okay, or like I can work through unconscious bias. Like you cannot. We're all
Mm,
going to be racist to some degree. If I see a giant, I'm going to be racist right now. If I see a giant black dude, right, and I see an old, small, frail Asian woman, and I'm walking past both of them,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to feel some type of way against that guy as opposed to the woman
Sure.
naturally. I
Yeah.
can't even be like, oh, I'm not racist, but it's like that guy can beat me up.
Mm-hmm.
This woman poses no threat. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you're racist. It's like, no, not really. I'm just thinking with my like survival brain here. I'm like doing mental calculations and how I could protect myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's all about perception. Racism and like all this stuff is like how you perceive the world based on like a foundation, right? And then you like your actions are according to that,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
right? It is, but
Yeah. Yeah.
the thing is, you could say that about everything. It's like, aren't we racist about everything then? It's like
It's
PlayStation versus Xbox.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It could be
You know what
even
I mean?
like, yeah, what you like and don't like. That's more racist.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I don't like salty food. Dude, you're racist to like sugary food.
Yeah.
It's not because like what is racism? It's like like what actually is racism? Like what's going on in your brain? It's like you're seeing something and you're making a judgment call on that, and that will either make you like or dislike something naturally, and then your actions will align with your perception of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's that's very close. Like racism and preference are very close cousins. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they're using the same mental process here.
Right.
Oh, hey, try this ice cream. I don't like ice cream. You try it anyways. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like now all of your thoughts are like, my past history, it's cold. I don't like this, sugary. You know, it's like
You know,
that's the
it's
exact same
that
thing.
just reminds me because I was watching the last episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and
Oh, okay.
it was something similar where it's like the lady's like doesn't like Mexican food, but she didn't want anybody to know she doesn't like Mexican food.
Oh, okay.
It was like because
Yeah,
implying
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
possible racism, but then
Yes, yes,
then the
yes, yes, yes.
Seinfeld character was like, "Oh, I don't care if anybody knows." It's like he didn't view it like a racist thing. It was just like
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
Yes. Exactly, exactly. But because he knows that it's it's very similar. Like it's no, not very similar. That's just how we live our lives.
Hmm.
You know, but we've like I don't know if it's maybe it's not racism that's the bad thing. Maybe it's like an equal opportunity.
Hmm.
Be racist all you want, but if you give me the job, like I don't care if you're racist. You know what I mean?
Yes, but
It's when you start halting things. That's when you get the real problems.
mhm.
It's like, oh, I won't give him this job because he's Asian and I'm white and I don't like Asian people. Like that's a problem then.
Yeah, then it's a
It's like
problem. Yeah, of
because
course.
it's meritocracy now. It's just like you're infringing on someone else's thing. If you don't like ice cream, just don't eat the ice cream, bro.
Hmm.
But if you won't like let's say you see two qualified people, but you're like, I'm choosing this dude because like you're just gonna make it up in your mind, like, oh, I saw that he wasn't qualified, or he didn't do this thing, whatever, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like I really just don't like Asian people,
Hmm.
you know? Like you'll justify it in some way.
Yeah, 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 right.
And I think that when you infringe on another person's like ability, like it's just not a meritocracy at that point.
Hmm.
And then that's when racism goes wrong,
Yeah,
right?
right, right, right.
Because I'm sure there are examples when racism goes right.
Yeah,
Like, you know, we can think of like
yeah,
grasping of, you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah, 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 yeah. Right.
Like, okay. I see, this is a very sensitive podcast. Just like it's gonna sound really bad. I'm gonna make sure the cuts are very accurate because this could go very wrong. Let's say I see a like no, but this is real. Like if you can't even entertain the idea, like
Mm,
that's weird. You can't even entertain this idea
right.
that we're talking about here. And we're not even saying anything dumb. It's like it's actually based on science. Like this is how the brain works. You literally make decisions back and forth
Hmm.
using like unconscious thought processes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the
Because there's this,
even
yeah.
they even like studied like when people putting in their resumes, right?
Hmm.
Having a name, even if it's same qualified, the
Yeah.
name. I was like, oh, this is a foreign name, but I know this name sounds normal, but it could be just
No,
based
no,
on
no,
the
I know.
name they're picking, right? So
A hun-
that's
100%. No, no, 100%. And when before this DI thing was a big thing, I was like pissed at my parents, like, why'd you give me such a weird name? When I apply for these jobs, it's gonna be weird. What's an Ervil James? This Ervil's not even a real word. You
hmm,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Anyways, so like let's say you're walking down a dark alley with and you see a bunch of like hooded dudes. They look a little sketchy.
Hmm.
Okay. Racism would serve me well there. I'd be like, I
Right.
don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're like, bro, you're being racist. They could be nice people. I'm sure they could be nice people. I'm sure. But my fight or flight system is telling me something
Yeah,
otherwise.
exactly. Yeah, it's more like the likeliest of chances kind of thing.
Right. But we're all like trying to make everything even and kumbaya, but it's like, bro, that's not how the world works.
Hmm.
Like if I walked down an alley and saw like a bunch of old ladies playing mahjong, right? I'd be like, oh, they're probably not gonna hurt me. And then they end up robbing me. I'd be like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, but like
But
which one are you
but
gonna
that
choose?
chance is not
Is
very
right.
likely.
Right. And I think racism is bad when you're using it to inhibit another's ability to succeed,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Right.
But yeah, because like it also works the wrong way too. So like in Filipino culture, right, we try and like stick collectively to ourselves. So it's like, oh, if I'm like that's why if you see a Tim Hortons and there's one Filipino, chances are you're going to see like 2 months down the line, there's a bunch of other Filipinos working there too.
Hmm.
Because they just like, oh, I know this other person, I know this other person, like network effect, right? And then my dad was saying, like, if make sure you always hire Filipino people. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna hire somebody that can get the job done.
Hmm.
Because to me, I'm I'm looking for the outcome that will allow us all to succeed,
I think.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's not, you know,
Right. I think that depends on the type of work or the training and the labor that it relates to it.
oh, it's
Right.
because they're all in hospitality.
No, no, no. I'm saying like a Tim Hortons job isn't something that's you need to have some certain skills.
Right, right,
I
right,
forgot
right,
what they
right.
call it, where it's like any skilled job. That's kind of
Yeah, I know what you mean.
right.
I know what the term is, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I feel like why that happens also is in that kind of field. It's more like who you want people that will work. that you trust would
Right. True. True.
work,
True.
especially in that
True.
kind of field, right? Because
Yes.
probably like a lot of people do leave than
Yep.
stay.
Yep. Yeah. 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 No. No. Totally. I get what you're
The
saying.
turnover is probably more often. So
So if they know someone, they're like, "Hey, this person's good." Like, yeah, sure, whatever.
yeah.
We'll just hire them.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. Because my dad was a manager at like a hotel before, and then he was like, "Oh, like if there's like Filipino contractor, it's like you're more preferent to that."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "No, I'm actually really just looking at the work." So
Right.
like that's more of a skilled thing versus
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
general labor
Yeah.
kind of thing that you're saying. I see your point about the general labor, but I'm just thinking more like the skilled labor.
Hmm.
I just personally believe in a meritocracy. It's just like, can you get the job done? We'll pick you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that's also because I look at everything I do, like it's just built in my head. I was actually showing um one of my friends this the remember Army of Two?
Hmm. Yeah.
Remember Alice Murray?
No.
The okay, so the two killers and then the girl who was like helping them, like on the missions.
Okay.
She'd be the voice in the
Oh.
head.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember her? Like she'd like, oh, I got this mission for you guys, and then
Sure.
they would
Sure.
fly out to
Right.
get. So I perceive, I guess, life like a video game or like army-ish. So everything I do is like, can we execute? So I'm always thinking like Army of Two style, where it's like, we just gotta get this job done. And then I was saying like to this person that like, oh, I trust you. So like you to me are like Alice Murray because I was
Hmm.
showing them like videos of like the game. I'm like, you're like Alice Murray. Let me get the job done. I just need somebody to guide. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, but I don't think people are thinking it like that. I don't think they're thinking in dire straits
No.
of
No. No.
like,
No. No.
you know what I'm saying?
No. No.
It's like,
No.
let's get to the objective, everyone.
No.
Right? I think they're just like, let me just cash this paycheck. Let me just be around people that I kind of like. Whereas me, it's like, what'd you hire me to do? Let's get it done.
But you've also been trained in that, from martial arts. Like these are things that are
That's a
rule
big
oriented
all
things,
facts.
right?
Yeah. Facts. Because that's actually so true too. Because like in martial arts, you follow a hierarchy,
Hmm.
right? So then somebody was saying in a professional setting, they were like, um, they were saying something as if we could do it. And I was like, hold up, chain of command. Let's ask.
Hmm.
But they
Right.
were ready to do it. But I was like, no, we follow this.
Right.
Because again, like martial arts, the army kind of like it's like this is the process,
Hmm.
bro.
Hmm.
So maybe, yeah, you're right. It's just like the way I look at things. And but most people, I guess, just don't. But that's why I advocate martial arts. But then at the same time, I don't think martial arts is for everyone. Martial arts where you're just like, oh, this is hectic, bro.
Yeah.
Like I would never recommend jujitsu to everyone. Like gentle jujitsu, if we're gonna do like taekwondo style jujitsu, where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna let you like be. But if you're like roll with the big boys, I'm like, you don't want to do this.
So that's why it's difficult to have a singular process in a
For everyone, yeah.
multicultural type of society,
Facts, that's true.
right? It's when you have it all the same kind of people, homogeneous, whatever it's called. Like
Yeah.
it's more easier to follow because you all follow the same things, right?
Maybe
Same
we need
beliefs,
religion.
same.
But maybe we need religion. Maybe we need to go back to that. I'm totally kidding with the religion thing. But like, you know how it's like we need an indoctrination. We need like, but you can only do that if you respect the leader. The leader has to be the prime example. If you're a leader, you have to be an exemplar. It's like that's what we're striving towards,
Hmm.
everyone, because all of your actions from there will mirror the leader in
Yeah,
everything you do,
yeah.
right? Like we look to someone else, unless you look to yourself as being the leader. And if that's the case, then you hold yourself to the highest standard you can. I don't know. People are just so confusing to me. Like, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah. It's when you have a bunch of people that you're trying to lead or direct. It's difficult when everybody has some different kind of belief or different background,
Yeah, no, no.
right?
Facts, facts. Yeah.
So the positivity of having everybody from a different thing is to have different ideas. That's the positive thing about it. But then
Yeah.
to follow a single structure is difficult to do when everybody has different understanding of what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I mean,
I
this is
yeah,
the whole thing with this multicultural stuff that we're doing in these last few 40, 50 years. That how much that's changed here in North
yeah.
America. It's all new
Yeah, yeah,
in that
totally.
sense.
And yeah, and that's why we're having a hard time getting along because we don't know what the like the rules are, what the playing field is.
Yeah, the clashes that happen, right? So it's like it'll take generations to get that kind of because the new standard has to happen.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah, that's true. We are in like a moving experiment right now because we've
Mm-hmm.
never had this in like ever. You've
Yeah, yeah,
never had like
like
such a multicultural
not
city.
this level. Yeah.
Yeah, not this level. Yeah, yeah. And especially, it's not even just a city anymore. It's becoming so global.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like you went to Hawaii and like you were seeing that it was already shifting towards like Japanese as well. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's weird. Are we just becoming like a global city now? Not actually, because plane rides aren't, aside from expenses, it's not that long. It's like 5 hours. Like we have the capability to move from like one place to another. And that like vacation ability is what's making the world more accessible, especially with
Mm-hmm.
the internet too. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
there's
we're,
so many. That's the thing, right? There's so many positive things about it, but these are the things that the growing pains that you go through.
yeah, totally, totally, totally. Um, okay, before I continue that thought, can you just check your audio and my audio really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're both in the same because you're kind of low to me, and I'm just like, I don't know if
I
that's
don't know if it's
me.
from the mic. No, no, I'm in the yellow. I'm in the yellow.
Okay, cool. And I'm in the L too. All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, everyone. This is our first time on Zoom.
yeah.
Um,
We'll find out after, anyway. So,
yeah, facts, facts, facts. So what's really weird though is why can't we have this thought experiment? Like, why can't we just question things with open discourse and not crap on other people's ideas without them getting defensive?
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like we don't reserve space for that. We don't even highlight that. We don't even promote that. It's like the people at the top know what's best. Sit down, do your job. You know what I'm saying? Because like what if
yeah.
everybody
It's
was having this conversation we're having right now? The people would be like, wait, this is kind of crazy.
mm-hmm.
But then most people are like, shut up, bro. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Don't think about it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Because they don't want to be blamed for something.
Oh my wow. That is so accurate. Okay, okay. I'm gonna say this as vague as I can, but that's so funny. You just said that because I'm like, wait, that just came up this week. Okay, so okay, someone we know was doing a talk to enrich the lives of other people and like, you know, give them guidance. And then these people were like the system's the problem.
Mm.
It's not like these strategies are elitist. You can get like just basically like just how to chill out strategies, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, and then people were speaking up being like, we can't do these. It's the system that has to change, not us. Right. And they were getting like really mad. And then the person who was like trying to enrich other people's lives were like, bro, I'm just trying to give you strategies.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
work,
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
work for this thing. Like it's, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
we were like discussing it. And I was like, and after the discussion it was like, oh, it's because people don't want to accept. Like as soon as you're like, hey, here are some strategies that can help you, then the actual onus becomes on you, not on the other thing. But
Exactly.
they didn't want it to be on them, so they automatically shifted. Like, no, it's the system.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, but you have these options, bro. Like, you could just do these,
Mm-hmm.
make your
Right.
life better. Like, I can't because the system's holding me down. And it's like, if you keep thinking like that, then you're powerless. Like, you are
Mm-hmm.
literally, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It's funny because like when you said it, like it clicked in my head. Like that is really what a big problem is. People don't want to take accountability for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my life sucks. Like, ew, make it better. Like I can't because duh, duh, duh. It's like those are obstacles. You're right. Maybe you shouldn't have chosen this job. Maybe you should go back to. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? It's like, but then people are like, well, if I was born in Africa and I was starving, or like if I was born in North Korea and I was being beaten to death, it's like very fair point. Not everyone is like Eddie Wong said this. He's like, we're all starting off at different places with different attributes in the video game called life,
Hmm.
right? And yeah, we're not all privy to the same things, the same privileges, but you make the best with the character that you have. Like when you're playing a video game, it's like you don't all start off with like maxed out attributes.
No, you
You
don't.
build towards that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? I'm playing Cyberpunk right now. There's choices. You can either start off in the corporate world, you can start off as a uh
Like a
what is it?
kid, street kid,
Street kid. And then what was the last one? It's like a Borderlands kind of
like
person that like
outside. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So it's like, okay, those are three completely different lifestyles. You know, if you, I chose the Borderland dude that outside the world. And why would I get upset at his situation, the character situation? It's
yeah.
like, no, there's just how we're starting off the game,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you think of it like that, it's like, okay, let's just play it out.
True. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Then even then, if you think of it the way you were saying it, then you're way better off than the ones that are in North Korea. Or
Yeah, right. You take it relative.
yeah,
You're like, dude, that sucks, but you know,
yeah. My situation is a lot better than that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And like I heard this like described before. It's like called infinite inventory.
Hmm.
And basically what you're doing, shout out to my yoga training, because that's where I stole it from. Infinite inventory. And like what it is like, no matter what your situation, it could always be worse. So you just kind of think like, well,
Hmm.
at least it's not. And then that gives you like a tool, you know? People don't like that tool all the time though. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, I tried that once and they were like, but it's my situation. I'm like, okay, fair. Let's just focus on your situation. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like we
Yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah,
see
yeah.
past because you're when your back's against the wall, you can't use those tools. But you know what it is? It's like it's like Batman Begins. You have to swim in the darkness in order to build up from the darkness.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like what was the main training at the end of his what was his initiation? They blew basically a psychedelic into Batman's face
Hmm.
and he had to work through his trauma and like come out the other side stronger,
Yeah.
right? That opening ninja bit.
Hmm.
And I always took that to heart. I was like, yeah, you have to be face to face with it. Like stare deep into the void and don't blink. It's like, how bad can it get? All right, let's look at it. Cool. This is what it is.
Hmm.
Let's work from here. But most people don't like to swim in the deep, dark void. You
No.
know,
Yeah, it's a survival thing. Why
it
would
is a
you?
survival thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah. I was consoling this one person and they're like, wow, you're really good at consoling. I'm like, I've just been in deep water, bro. I know where you're gonna take your mind. Because I've been there. Like,
Hmm.
I know spiraling sucks. Yeah, totally. But it's like I've built tools to be like, okay, let's go.
Hmm.
We have to do something, you know? Be the don't wish it upon me, knock on wood. This is fake wood, but knock on wood. But it would be really interesting for me to get a really bad disease and see if I can pull back from that. That would be really interesting training because it's like
Hmm.
that's
Right.
deep water. That's
Sure.
real deep water. Right now, like my traumas that I work through are like they're superficial. Trauma is trauma. You always like, I'm thinking about the dentist. I'm so afraid of the dentist.
Hmm.
I'm going this week, but I'm like getting better at it, but like, it's like, how deep can you go without caving?
Right.
But most people don't even want to try going deep.
No, because again, survival, comfortability
I
is
know, right? Yeah, totally, totally, totally.
that's just instinctual.
But again, it's like in order to elevate as a species, maybe we need to swim in these deep waters. We need to get past our survival mechanism in
Hmm.
order to like work as maybe that's what it means to be an enlightened society, just
Hmm.
not a survival society.
Right.
Actually, that's a really good thought though, because when they're like, oh, there's like enlightened societies out there, they're like advanced. It's like the only thing they're advanced from is their survival state.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're not like their back's not against the wall. They've already come to terms with their trauma, and then they're like, okay, let us let us move forward into love.
Yeah, yeah,
People
yeah,
use
yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
BS term, right? What is love? But you get what I'm saying? It's like let's not. be ruled by fear. Let's be ruled by wonder, excitement, joy, all those things.
Right.
That sounds so, I hate it when people say that on podcasts. And I'm like, because when they say it, it's like, well, what have you done? What have you done to say that? You know? Because like I was listening to this podcast, like Theories of Everything. Love that guy. This is not a criticism on you. Love that guy. He's the
Oh,
Torontonian
okay.
top
Yeah, yeah,
scientist. He was like, this might sound really dumb, but I think we all need to lead with love in this world, and we need to enjoy. I'm like, totally. Right. And the people he was talking to were like, yeah, that's what a lot of the enlightened people were saying. I'm like, for sure. Tell me that when you see a baby's head get cut off right in front of you.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like, does that still hold? You have to test your you have to pressure test your theory. Should we lead by love? Okay. There's a dude that's raped like 20 million women. Still lead with love?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly.
Right?
And
Pressure test,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah. I mean, no, that was, I was seeing that with that show with Masters of the Air, which is that kind of question about war.
Hmm. Okay. Because
You're
the bloodshed.
the
They're
bloodshed,
like,
right? The killing that happened with war, the innocence. A lot of people that are died were also very just innocent people, civilians. But this is the casualties of war and trying to stop Hitler,
right.
right?
Oh, that's a good point. Hitler, can you lead with love? Right? And and I think that's like, no, yeah, it's a good point actually, because war is like the most salient example. It's like so
Mm-hmm.
obvious in our face. And like Hitler's the biggest bad guy. So if you're telling me to lead with love, can you do that with Hitler?
Yeah, I think that was the thing, right? The World War II was that question because they didn't want to go to war, but the only option was that was left was that.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's define love. I know we've talked about this before, like we've defined love before,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's important to bring it back here. So like the best, the best line I've ever heard for love is is from Osho actually. If you watch Wild Wild Country, can you still lead with love?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so so love is seeing a flower and not picking it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you pick that flower, it will die.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you try and shape that thing into what it is,
Mm-hmm.
then it will not be that thing anymore. Right. I think that's what love is. But that's basically acceptance. That's literally the exact same thing.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
just accepting what that thing is. Like, okay, totally. I see you as a thorny rose, right? Hitler, I see you as like poison ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, poison ivy, do your thing. If you encroach on the rest of the world, we might have to pick you. We might have to like pull you out of the ground because like your poison iviness is spreading towards the world,
Right.
right? But I'm not hating you for being poison ivy. I'm just acknowledging you're poison ivy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what leading with love is. It's just, but the reason why I say that is because like I think we have a skewed definition for what love is. It's like,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
like Jesus, love your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? If if your enemy hits you on the cheek, turn the other cheek because you love them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what? What does that mean? What do you mean love? Like I have to be compassionate towards you. I have to be uh romantic towards you.
Mm-hmm.
You because like you know what I mean? Like
Well, yeah,
love
it,
is so,
it becomes the definition is too broad, right?
right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
We
love.
need to narrow this
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
down,
yeah. You
bro.
gotta explain what do you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not what
Yeah.
any books or stories. It ends up becoming a person's interpretation.
Yes, yeah, totally. So, and it's experiential
Yeah.
because you have to feel it. No, no, all right, it's experiential plus knowledge. So it's like you become wise to it.
Mm-hmm.
You I've heard the definition from Osho, like you have to um you like see the flower, don't pick the flower. But then I need to put it into practice, which is like I need to actually practice that version of love. And then now I'm wise to it. I'm like, yep, that is definitely what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, you need both. I don't know. These are like hard thoughts,
These are hard. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But like,
Because
no,
there isn't
who's,
a. It's not a clear answer.
yeah, totally. And
That's the.
who's even talking about that? That's the craziest part about it. It's like these are the most important questions that we live like, why are we here? Where do we go when we die? What is love? How do we become a better species? Like these are really hard questions.
But again, as you mentioned, that is, these are hard questions. But over time, we've seen it's only a few people that think about this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's the luxury of time though to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Actually, wait, no, that's a lie. Because my initial thought was like, well, we both don't have kids, so that gives us more time. But then I'm like, no, because I know people without kids who still won't think about this. Right? So it's like, no, what is the thing? It's just you just don't want to dive deep. You just don't want to swim in the deep waters.
Yeah, it's
It's
something
not,
about
yeah, it's not
facing
luxury. Yeah,
facing the
no.
darkest fears. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what it is. Or it's like when yeah, when you're ignorant to certain things, you don't want to see the like the issues with war
Yes.
or the
Yes.
positives of war.
I love that you said the positives of war because it's like
That's not a
nobody ever talks about that. The internet was created from war, guys. Like what? The microwave. Come on.
right.
The the fact that you're able to stay free in this
Mm-hmm.
society is thanks to war. We're
Mm-hmm.
keeping the barbarians at the gate so that you can be safe in this thing we call a city,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's such a hard topic for people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try and broach it, they get all defensive or they think they know
Mm-hmm.
because everyone must have thought of these questions. So like I would have a snap judgment. You know what I mean? It's like I'm talking to them because it's like, what is love? Oh, I know what love is. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yeah, because it's so simple. Like it's such an easy question. We've all experienced. We all think we've experienced it. So it's like you think you have a valid opinion, but it's like, okay, but have you pressure tested it? Have you thought about it? Have you been asked like harder questions beyond what do you think love is?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that way?
Right.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Could you apply it here? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then they're like, oh, too much thoughts. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that this podcast would turn in this direction. I was like, wow, I just wanted to
Yeah.
talk about my unconscious bias and racism. Well, what time are we at? Just so in case we do cut out, I just want to get to the other.
It's been 45 minutes since recording, so
Are we still recording?
yeah.
Oh, I
No,
mean,
I mean, yeah, we're still
we haven't been kicked off. Yeah,
no.
so okay, cool. So maybe we'll just keep running. All right. All right. Just in the interest of time and all that, we'll jump to the other thing. But I think that was a good, interesting
Mm-hmm.
thought. Yeah. So actually let's do this quickly. The eclipse. Ridiculous. I mean, unless you loved it.
No,
I just thought it was
what do you mean? I don't know
right.
what ridiculous means. I think it was just an
Like it was
event that was.
overhyped, bro. It just like drew clouds and like all the people that spent all the money, and it's like you're expecting the most amazing thing, and you're just like, wow, that's cool. All right.
I was surprised that I was able to see it though, so I got some pictures of it.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I didn't have to
Over
go to
here,
Niagara.
yeah, totally. Over here, like there were people outside. I was watching it. I was working, and like the clouds went dark, and then they went back up, and I was like, oh, that was uneventful. But
Right,
it's weird because
right.
inside of me, I felt this um, this like, what do you call that when you're afraid you lost something? I forgot. I was like fear of missing out. I felt FOMO because I was watching all of them. Like, am I dumb? Why aren't I outside? But then I had to be like, hey, why do you care about eclipses? No, I don't. All right, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
I did feel FOMO though because I was like, everyone's
Mm.
all like engaged in it. My family was at the waterfront, all
Oh yeah.
looking. Yeah. They're sending me videos. I'm like, yeah, like,
Well, it's an event that doesn't always happen, so
yeah,
it's
it's an event, and I guess that's naturally why I'd feel FOMO.
of
But
course, yeah.
even though I was hating on it, I'm acknowledging that I felt FOMO. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, um, do you want to go Monkey Man or do you want to talk about PlayStation VR?
That's up to you.
All right, let's do Monkey Man because I feel like PlayStation VR is going to get pretty deep.
Hmm.
Monkey Man, you sent me that video of how it's the Hanuman similarities.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that going in, but just seeing all the similarities to the story of the Ramayana that he incorporated
Oh, okay. Yeah,
into his story. That's what I thought was interesting.
yeah, that's yeah, fair. That was I didn't get that because I didn't go in knowing the stories. Although when I was watching it, I was like, damn, I did write down reading the that whole series, the Vedas. I wanted to read the whole thing, but it's hard to find like a copy.
Right.
But yeah, that I had no connection to it. I mean, I
Because
saw what they were trying to do.
that's the thing that because I see in interviews of Dev Patel talking that it's a story or Hanuman's story is something that was close to him since he was a kid.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So this is a way that he could incorporate it into a movie format.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And he's the Slumdog Millionaire guy.
Yeah.
I didn't
Like,
know that. I was like, who's this guy? And your brother's like, Slumdog Millionaire.
well,
Oh, okay,
that's the
okay.
thing. I knew him way like before that. I knew him from Skins, this UK show,
Oh,
long
what?
time ago. Yeah,
Oh, I remember you talking about skins, but I didn't
yeah.
know he went from that to Slumdog.
He
That's
went from
cool.
that to Slumdog to all the stuff he's done now, right? Um, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that it almost got like just shelved. I think that
I could see that though.
Universal bought it from Netflix
Oh, okay.
to
And then they
then
just, yeah. And then,
alongside Jordan Peele, yeah, to get that out there.
oh, Jordan Peele bought it. He didn't even make that movie.
He didn't make it. He's a producer, so him and Universal, yeah,
That's so dumb. I thought this is the crazy world of economics, man. When you say
no,
producer, it just means who put the money in.
yeah.
It's like you're not actually, you didn't direct any, because I was like, oh, these are weird shots. What are the angles that Jordan Peele
Oh no,
chose?
he didn't do that movie. It's
I know
Dev
I was
Patel
trying to see it.
directed
Yeah.
and wrote it, I believe, right?
Yeah. But I
So,
was trying to see.
but it was an indie movie that he thought wasn't, budget constraints and things like that. He thought it wasn't going to end up happening
Dev Patel?
till yeah.
Oh, that's
Because it was
interesting.
if it's true that it was going to get shelved by Netflix, then
Okay.
because Jordan Peele saw it, he convinced Universal to buy it.
He watched the movie and he was
Yeah,
just like, this is dope.
yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
So that's why we have a theatrical release.
That's funny because when I was watching it, I was like, it didn't feel Jordan Peele to me. I was confused.
No, it's not his. That's what I'm saying. It's not his
Yeah,
movie.
no, totally. Yeah. But they were marketing it as that. They're like,
Well, yeah, because
put his name. So I was like, very
when you
cool.
have his name, that's going to help sell tickets, right?
Marketing matters,
Of course.
right? So like and it was also like, that's funny you said it was like indie because I was like, it felt super indie. I was like, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
weird. Like I wouldn't imagine Jordan Peele doing something like this, but cool. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
this is like his artistic style. No, but obviously he didn't direct it, but like now after the fact, but
Does
like
it
trying
make
to,
sense to be under his
that's what I mean. Thank
wheelhouse
you.
in the
Yes,
producer world?
yes.
Yeah.
That like you marketed it like that and you made me believe that you had some hand in it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really just bought the movie.
Yeah. All of it was Dev Patel in that sense.
Yeah. That makes way more sense because I was like, this seems a little amateur, like in
Mm-hmm.
the shots. I was with the fighting, I was like expecting to see more. So okay, basically what they do, and they did it in all martial arts movies in the past, is if you don't know how to actually fight, they use the camera to be like shaky, so that you don't really see like the movement, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
And like I noticed that I was like, oh, that's an old technique.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
He was
I would have
trying,
thought that,
but it's all like he was explaining it too, like the influences that he had. Like I
Mm.
can see some shots look like Slumdog from the movie Slumdog,
Yeah, it's true.
right? They
Yeah,
reminded me of
facts.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, but that's the stuff where he learned it all from, right? So it makes sense,
totally.
right? All the different things that he went through. But he wanted to add in. He mentioned like because it's tuxedos from all the Korean movies that he's seen.
Oh, dude, that's so funny that you said that. No, because all right, I was waiting for you. I was gonna say this. The I was honestly about to say this. I think he's watched Asian movies because the scenes at the end with the knife fighting were very much what was that movie? It's
Yeah,
like The
no
Man from
man. Yeah,
Nowhere.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Man from Nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. That was like one of
I
the
think he
best knife
mentioned
fighting
that one. I don't know
movies.
if he mentioned that specific movie, but yeah.
I knew it because when I was watching it, I was like, "This is straight up from Man from Nowhere." Like you copied this.
Hmm.
And then now that you said like he was influenced by Korean movies, I'm like, yeah, totally. That's where you got that because it's so identical
Hmm.
the way that he fought like with a knife, reverse blade, and like yeah, yeah, that's very. Oh, speaking of knife and reverse blade, we'll get back to Monkey Man in a second. Um, that is so wild that how the internet works. Like I had been watching that one dude, that Filipino guy for a long
Hmm.
time, doing like martial arts and and then like I posted his video and then he DM'd me like, hey, you posted my video. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. Blah blah. And he's like, oh, if you ever want to train, I don't know, because the name was Scarborough Soldier Club where I posted it, right? And he's like, do you train in Scarborough? And I was like, no, I don't have a gym, but like this is kind of like an ethos of like my training style. And then he was like, oh, like come if you have time, you can come to Markham. And I was like, what? You're in Markham? And then like how wild was it that it's right across the street from you? That was
Yeah, that
wild. When I was
was.
driving there, I was like, wait, why am I going to Vicious? What's going on?
What's funny is like you were just here the day before.
I know, crazy how the world works like that, right? It's like so weird synchronous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you were like, I
and
saw when you were like when we were coming here, you're looking around the place. You're just like
yeah,
seeing what's
surveying,
around.
yeah,
Yeah, seeing
totally.
what's
And I
around,
had
and it's so
no
funny that.
idea that I would be back there in that exact spot. Like that's
Yeah.
wild. And what was cool too is he was like, but I, but again, who does that? Like who thinks like you and I, like it was like pressure test our thoughts or like who even enacts life like a video game? Because he was like, I didn't tell him I was coming. I was like, yeah, I'll try and make it sometime. And
Hmm.
then literally the next day I showed up and then I'm like, hey, he's like, oh, you're a new student, whatever. And I'm like, the Scarborough Soldier Club dude. He's like, whoa, dude, what? And then we like talked and we were like, vibing. And then at the end, he's like, hey, props to you, man, for actually showing up. Like nobody does that. A lot of people say they'll do it, but they don't. And then
Right.
I like pointed, I'm like, I know. That's why I did it. I'll be back, which I'm really going to dedicate to come back to that because he's a great resource. But it's like, yeah, who thinks like about the hard questions?
Yeah.
Who goes and does the thing? It's like, but this is all these things that like we find exemplary in life. We're like, wow, that's pretty cool that you did that. It's like, this is the bare minimum, guys. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like the meritocracy thing. It's like, bare minimum is just getting your job done.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing.
Hmm.
And you're like, that's so interesting that you're doing that. It's like, does nobody get the bare minimum done? What are we talking about here?
That's the thing. Nobody
You
wants to
know?
do more than that.
Remember when I was getting in like professional world and then Sid was like, oh, you're gonna blow them out of the water. And I was like, what do you mean? Because you were all in the
Mm.
but I was like freelancing for so long. And then when I went in, I'm like, oh dude, yeah, nobody's like
Yeah. Right.
really doing it.
Right.
It's weird. But like in my head, I'm like, this is the bare minimum. Like
Hmm.
you hired me for a task. I'm just gonna do the task.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, Monkey Man. So is there anything else that you thought was like super interesting?
Uh, it's interesting just how they incorporate into like him. It's basically Hanuman's story in a way. How do?
Oh, okay, I was watching the video you sent, but I was like, there are pieces that they're linking, but I wouldn't say it's a direct Hanuman story.
No, because he's not. No, but the thing is, it's not about the direct thing. It's what I feel is like it's just all like these are avatars. So he's an avatar of Hanuman,
Oh, that's a cool way to say it. Yeah, yeah,
right? Who goes through the trials,
yeah.
right? And then from those trials, he comes out as who he's supposed to be.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. People who don't know, an avatar is just a reincarnation of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But can't we all just be avatars? What I'm really trying to say here is why doesn't everyone just do the thing that we all thought we were supposed to do? That's what the whole theme of this podcast is. Just do the
Yeah.
goddamn thing that you thought you were supposed to do, bro.
Right.
We're all supposed to ask ourselves these questions. We're all supposed to try and make life better.
Hmm.
But nobody's doing it. And it's like, why is it exemplary to just do what you're supposed to
Well,
do?
yeah, the minorities were always the philosophers. So.
Facts, that's true. Do you know that most philosophers, I found this out, were wrestlers in the Greek era? Like, and
um.
they all attributed, yeah, it's when you get in the martial arts world. the martial arts philosophers, they all bring this up. Like Socrates, Plato. I think Plato meant like best wrestler or something like that, like his name,
We
because
know.
they
Wait, we
all,
know this for sure. I don't
yeah,
think I've
Google
ever
it.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I heard from the martial art philosopher, like Firas Zahabi said that. And the reason why is because they all attributed the grind to how they got to where they are.
Hmm.
Like wrestling is very difficult, right? But you have to pressure test things. And it's like that level of pressure testing is what made them pressure test their own ideas, you know, which is kind of,
But they were also aristocrats, right? They
oh,
had.
rich, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Time. But like we said, there can be rich people who don't also push the boundaries. It's like a different type of
No, no, I
people
get that.
willing to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
look at
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
dark.
But I mean, like most of the times, if there were aristocrats, they had the money to do the
Oh yeah, yeah.
exploration.
Like yeah, yeah, facts. That's true. They had the resources to like be
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to do
yeah.
this. Yeah, yeah, totally. Anyways, um, anything else about Monkey Man before we go into the new world?
No, it's good. It's a good movie. I'd say a decent
It's
movie.
okay.
I'd say a decent movie. Yeah.
You're like, it was gonna be like, it's okay. It's all right.
I think it's after like seeing the connections to some things.
Yeah, it's like if you get the deeper meaning, totally. But what I kind of felt was it's a bit chaotic. I think I wrote that as a thing, like
Hmm.
chaotic but cool, because
And
it just
I think as a I would say as his first film directing, it's not bad. It was
yeah, yeah,
better. I mean,
totally.
it's
Yeah.
better than
They've
Green
done.
Knight. No,
Yeah, facts,
he didn't make
facts.
that,
Yeah.
but we I fell asleep to
No,
that
no,
one.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you. But like in terms of the movie itself, what I mean by chaotic is like it just went back and forth to like he got beat up so hard, and then just a couple of months later, he's like this elite assassin. You're like, what? How did that happen? Like it
Hmm.
was just too much back and forth and felt chaotic to me. Like it wasn't on a streamlined. It wasn't simple.
Hmm.
Yeah. Still a good movie, but I don't know. I can see why you would put it there. I don't know if I would.
There's a
I'd
lot
rather watch
more. Yeah,
something.
there's a lot more. Like even like when the final scene, the fight scene happening in Diwali, it's like that was the what that means is like in Ramayana as when Ram comes back, it's the Festival of Lights. So that's the succeeding.
Oh,
Wait,
Light Over
after.
Darkness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 true. And how basically he beat the bad guy at the end.
Right. But I like the things in the beginning where like the corrupt gurus, like the he's
Oh
talking
yeah,
about the
yeah, totally. Yeah,
corruption
yeah.
and things like that. He was
He,
trying to hit on a lot of things
yes,
that are happening in India, but I don't. It won't work in
yes.
India, but it will work outside of India.
No, no, facts, facts. That's so true that you said that about the corrupt gurus. Because remember, I don't know if I said this on the podcast before, but my tattoo artist, he grew up in India, and we were talking about religion. It just like randomly went in that direction. What do you talk about when you're
Hmm.
getting tattooed?
Sure.
And then he was like, he's like one thing that because I wanted to visit some places, and he's like, one thing is like corruption's heavy. I'm like, oh, really? Like to kill you? And he's like, no, but like political corruption. So what they'll do is the politician will see what religion's super important in that area, and then they'll donate lots of money, and they'll become like a spiritual kind of person. They're like,
Hmm.
oh, we want to lift you up as a leader. And you saw that in the movie too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's using spirituality to rule the people. And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, they're still kind of in that state.
Hmm.
Uh, that's cool. Yeah. I felt like it was a really cool cultural movie. I saw a lot of things that I would have never seen before when he was asking about like the because it was at your wedding, the paper, the grass paper, the plant, and then you put
Yeah.
rice, and then
Oh,
remember he
the
asked for
pond.
that?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
pond.
pond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He asked for that at the food stall. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I had that before.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? Like cultural. It's like you're really showing.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's those are some things that I picked out some things like that. Like going.
Yeah.
I remember when he fell into the like the dirty water, and it goes to that
Yes.
scene of him being near like a clean riverside, like as a kid.
Mm.
That reminds me is like, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff there that they need to fix. Like it's
Yes, yes, yes,
that
yes,
I
yes,
think that's
totally.
what he was trying to say. Like, there's a lot of things that he was trying to put into it. It
Yeah.
may have gotten messy because there's so many messages.
Maybe that's why I was like, it's chaotic. You're like, you're
Hmm.
bombarding me with a lot right
But I
now.
wonder if it's like even the culture in India is chaotic. So
Oh,
it's like it's
so he
like
did that as like,
it could be, yeah,
that's true,
because
man, as an
it is.
artistic
It's just
move.
yeah.
That one scene where they're all sleeping in the same room and
Mm-hmm.
he was like
Yeah.
awake. I'm like, yeah, that's totally real. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's real.
Oh no, that's real.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that is cool. It's cool to see like on the big screen you see a different culture. Yeah. I I'm excited to see more cultural movies come out like that because then you realize that the world is much bigger than what you had thought
Mm-hmm.
previously. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of world, um, I finally like 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks now? Uh,
Oh, was it last?
dude, oh, it is last week.
It's
Yeah, a
last week,
lot of
right?
things. This has been the most chaotic 3 weeks. Just so much has happened in this like last 3 weeks. But yeah, okay, so it was last week. Wow, I feel like so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I tried your PlayStation VR for the first time with the haptic feedback. That that's it. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It You said this before, and I didn't know what you meant, where you're
Mm.
like, I was confused when I was in the real world because I'm seeing the hands being there, and I'm like, this is the same as the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a little bit of that afterwards. I had to shake it off because I was like, oh yeah. Because when I put the VR headset and I was looking around, and remember my sister was like, are you just looking at yourself? I'm like, I am, because I'm like, what is this? Like you could see like your like, well, depending on the game, but like in the driving one,
Yeah, you
I
can
was like
see your.
looking, I'm like, oh, it's my body. And I was like looking inside the car. I was like looking behind me,
Yeah,
and then like when we were this was the trippiest one, the canoe one, because it was so vast. I
yeah,
could see
yeah,
into the
yeah.
distance and I was like, oh, I'm going to that thing. I'm going to that thing. And I was like, all right, cool. We're done. You took it off my head and I was like, oh, dude, we're in a tiny, like, we're not in a giant,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it,
We're not on
it,
the ocean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, for me, it was like, oh, we're in like your condo. And
Mm-hmm.
I was in a massive, massive world,
Mm-hmm.
and that was such a mind blow that it was like, bro, what are we doing? My senses were overloaded. And, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that if they perfect, especially what really tripped me out, and you guys saw me doing this with the water, is I kept touching the water. Because every time I'd hit the water, I'd feel the feedback. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, dude, I'm in this world.
Right.
So it's
Interesting.
like,
Mm-hmm.
where are we going? This is just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're like, you could literally, if you just, there's so many memes about it, but you can live in like it's just when you walk in, you just see a bed in a bathroom, and then you just put on your VR headset and you're golden.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So what does it mean for society? Oh, yeah.
No, that was what Ready Player One, right? Everybody's in the shipping containers or something that looks like that.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But you're actually in this giant world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what are we doing? What's next? Like, this is literally PlayStation VR 1.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
is version 2 right now or
Yeah,
still
yeah, it's
version 1?
version 2.
Version 2. Okay. We're in version 2. We're in iPhone 14 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is version 14 to look like?
Right.
Are we gonna have a full haptic bodysuit, you know?
Yeah,
And then how many people are gonna want to live in this world?
yeah. That's
Like
another
the
thing.
physical world, the traditional world.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be totally different.
Yeah.
Especially with like climate change and like all that stuff. Like you saw that I don't know if it's real, I just sent it to you about like putting the kill switches in the car so that they can shut down the cars so we don't drive anywhere if it gets too bad.
Oh, I didn't think that was what was the reason was for.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's how it was marketed to, like when I saw it as like climate, whatever. So I was like, okay. I didn't read fully into it because I'm like, this is just too beyond me.
Oh,
But
oh,
I could see
oh,
how
okay.
in the
My
future.
assumption was for theft.
Oh, really? Okay. That's interesting. That actually makes sense. But then yeah, because what really scared me was when COVID happened, and like totally, I get what you're saying. Like in the best situation, theft, right? But what really showed me something was COVID when they locked down all the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then they even went into the bank accounts of the people that were on the convoy
Mm-hmm.
and they like froze those bank accounts. It's like, yeah, for sure. But when your back is against the wall, how are you going to use that tool? You know, like,
Yeah.
let's say like climate change is too crazy, shut down all the cars, stay inside. But we have a virtual world for you.
But yeah, I don't
You know what I
think.
mean?
Yeah,
Like, dude,
I get that. I get what you're saying. Yeah, sure.
like I
Um.
can see that happening in the future.
Mm-hmm.
If something bad happens, like a pandemic or like climate change is too bad, we need a point of no return. We have to. But if that actually became the case, though, like let's say they locked us all down because of climate change, and like we really want you to stop using gas powered vehicles, is nobody going to bring up that China's the biggest emission country?
Well, that's the thing, right? Everybody, I would say, the leaders of the world know that.
Right. And then that's when it's like, are we making the best decisions here? What are we like with the carbon tax? Like that really pissed me off. He's
Sure.
like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I'm just in the viewpoint of America. It's like they haven't stopped drilling, and they're not.
that's true,
They haven't
right? Like,
stopped
yeah.
making. They haven't stopped, like, especially with the Guyana with their new reserves or new
Mm,
oil stuff that they found. That they're making deals with America, or
there you
America's
go. So it's
making
like,
deal with them.
I, th I
They're
thought
not
you were
stopping.
committed. They're committed to no carbon emission, but you're still using it as a means to profit. Like, put
Exactly.
your money where your mouth is, you know?
Yeah, but you can make commitments. It's not commitments. They're like
Promises, empty promises.
recommendations. Yeah, or we'll try to. That's kind of the phrase, right? But
Yeah.
again, America and us, we're not the biggest polluters.
So then why are you being penalized for somebody else's mistake?
Hmm.
Is what I'm thinking about.
Right.
Like, why'd you introduce the carbon tax? I actually don't know why. This like I heard it was gonna happen, and then when it happened, it was like, oh, damn, we should have really mobilized a bit more on that one.
Hmm.
Because like what was the carbon? Do you know what the carbon tax is for? To mitigate us from driving more.
Uh, I don't. In it affects us, yes, in that way. Yeah, people are driving gas cars.
But did it work? People still
I don't.
driving. They're just more
I
pissed off they have to pay more gas money.
Right, and I don't know if the money that's being used or the extra dollars that is that money used towards uh, granting those, or it's like grants for like some companies that are changing towards green energy or things like that.
Is it? That's what the
I
tax is gonna be for?
I would, yeah, I think so. Um,
Okay.
but that's what the tax would be
In an
for.
ideal world.
Yeah. Now it's more like testing out, or not testing out, like studying, or to make sure that the money is going in that direction. This is the job of the journalism.
What
Are
about
the
the
tax dollars being used correctly? That's the question.
totally,
Next.
totally. And what about the arrive can? We already saw that now people are
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is a waste of money. It's like historically, if you show bad judgment, why would I vote for you again? This is my dilemma.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
actually don't care about saying if I'm like liberal or conservative, but right now you're making me feel like I should go conservative.
Mm-hmm.
The liberals. Like it's like you it doesn't seem like you're make but it's funny because then people were like because I was saying that to other people and they were like, well, how do you know that the conservatives would also do it? They were against the carbon tax. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I see your point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like there's no feels like it feels like we need change, but there's no way we're gonna change.
Well, the change is by voting. The thing is that this will happen next year if an election happens.
Right, for sure. But I feel like we need substantial change.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that too, or no? You're just like chilling.
I don't know what substantial change what that implies.
That's a good question too. It's like the love question, you know? It's like, we need change. What do you mean by change? They're like, oh yeah, true. What do you mean by love? Oh, I have to think about that one. I just feel like the money is not going in the right spots. Like, we need to crack down on this like food issue
Hmm.
because you're seeing it. Like, as things get more expensive, people are resorting towards having to like steal. Like,
Hmm.
well, I think we talked about in the last podcast too, like the Christmas one where the guy like where I watched that whole robbery when the guy was just trying to steal chocolate on Christmas Day. I'm like, bro, it's just chocolate. No, I
Right.
mean, like for me, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like it's more like sad because you're like, oh, it's just chocolate.
Hmm. Hmm.
We weren't trying to steal money or anything. Yeah. Yeah. You know what's okay. So the only thing, and I've been saying this for a while, is like UAPs, right? Like, I feel like if UAPs are acknowledged, like we'll all come together, we'll rechange things, blah, blah. I actually heard this really interesting point of view and I hadn't even considered it. What if they don't care? What if these UAPs are literally like jellyfish or sharks or
Hmm.
whales in the ocean? They actually don't care what we're doing. They're just doing their own thing.
Right.
So what if we're all like, oh my God, there's these UAPs, who's in them, whatever, but you'll actually never know because they don't care to interact with us. And the reason why I say that, because like a lot of people are like, oh, they're just going to swoop in and just save humanity from itself. And then the person said, like, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they didn't come in.
Hmm.
The Iran war that's happening right now, they didn't come in. COVID, they didn't come in. Maybe they just don't care. They're just a part of our universe that we just never saw before. It's like before we used to think of sea creatures as monsters. Like there's monsters in the sea, and we realize, oh, it's just a giant squid. Oh, it's just a shark. Oh, it's just, maybe
Hmm.
it's just gonna be like, oh, it's just UAPs. What are your thoughts on that?
That people are going to be like that,
No, no, like
or
that's how
they're
we're
like
gonna do
that.
it. Both. That's how we're gonna do it in the future. Like if we acknowledge that UAPs exist, it's like, well, where do we go from here? What are we gonna do with that? Like, nothing. We can't do anything with that
Hmm.
unless they choose to interact with us.
Right. Yeah.
Like, does that seem viable to you?
Well,
Like that
yeah,
they could
yeah,
they,
yeah.
they could just be like sharks in the ocean. Like they're just there. Like
Hmm.
I'm in a city right now and I know a shark exists somewhere in the ocean.
Sure.
I've never seen one. I've never interacted with one. But if I go close enough to where they are, I will see them and interact with them.
Hmm.
And it's like because we're seeing so many UAPs in the sky, maybe they've just been in the sky the whole time.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now that because this all really happened like when we took flight in the World War II, they were called like Foo Fighters, and like the
Hmm.
the plane people would see them all the time. But it's like we just hadn't discovered the sky yet. Maybe they're just a part of the sky. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like we're making mountains out of molehills here.
Hmm.
It's like, no, that's just a UAP. Chill out. Like, could that be it in the future? We'll just live our lives. It's like the shark doesn't have anything
Yeah,
to do with our
if they're
politics.
if yeah, if we have no interaction with them, or if there's no effect from them on us, then yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's actually how it is right now. It's like, don't be afraid of UAPs, bro. It's just like being afraid of a shark.
Hmm.
Like, they're not here to take over. They're not here. They're doing something we don't know what it is. Let them live,
Hmm.
you know?
Right.
Because, yeah, that was just a poignant thought that I thought was like
Right.
pretty spot on. Because when I heard it, I was like, I'd never even considered that. Because everyone's like, who are these UAPs? Are there our gods? Are they like from a different planet? Are we like genetically engineered to help like
Hmm.
produce things for them? Are we the technological butterfly?
But
So
that's
many
the
thoughts, but
problem
it's just
that
like,
we also have, that we think that we're the center of the universe.
exactly. But maybe they're just like, oh, it's just a bug. Like to them,
Right.
like they're walking past us like ants. They're like, okay, okay, ant, go do your thing.
Right. Right. Right.
I could see that as actually being the most viable thing
Hmm.
out of all this because it's like we haven't. you're right. It's such a like species centrist approach. We
Mhm.
think that they're here for us. But is the shark here for you? No, the shark's just living, bro. Is the jellyfish here for you? No,
Right.
it's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe we make like areas if
But
we
you
can
can,
capture them to store them. If they're
I
just
know,
like
that's so funny.
right, we do that with fish
Zeus,
zoos,
I know.
aquariums.
That's so funny that you said that because as I was saying that, I was like, oh, we have zoos though. And then you brought up like, yeah, we had the same similar train of thought there. We'll create like tourism around it. It'll be like fly and see where the UAPs are. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's what we did with the whales, right? So it's kind of the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe that is it. It's like we should just not fear them. Just like understand that it's a part of nature.
Hmm.
You know what's funny? Because it's like you have to go through the fear to get to this point. Because I've heard that argument been played out through Lou Elizondo, who
Hmm.
is like in charge of the UAP thing, and he that's actually where I got the example. And it's funny because he said it like that, but like I had to read so many books, right? Like I'm like, this is the conspiracy. Okay, this is what we know about UAP so far, blah blah blah. And then now I'm at this point of like, wait, what if they're just there? And it's like we're creating this huge narrative around what UAPs are
Hmm.
because of fear. Because
Right.
I was like, oh, dude, they're gonna take over our lives. They're gonna change our lives. It's
Hmm.
like they don't care about you at all, you know. But that's the thing, if they like look at the darkness and then come out the other end.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Any okay, you know what? No, I'm gonna say this last one because it's really quick. Um, Balenciaga, do you see the tape?
Yeah, yeah.
What are we doing, bro? This is like a science experiment for us being dummies. The Balenciaga roll of tape and you wear it as a bracelet. Like, if you bought, I can see so many people buying that and it'll look trendy. But like at the same time, I'm just like, fashion is like the biggest social experiment.
Yeah, I think that Balenciaga they figured it out to convince. 'Cause it's not the rich people that are buying this. Like,
Oh my God, that's so funny you said that. That's actually 100% true. They said that. They're like, rich people don't dress like this. Like Mark Zuckerberg is not draped out in Balenciaga. Most people are literally buying, they're wearing their money.
yeah.
Whereas like rich people are investing their money.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're right. There'll be a lot of this is why I'm into like counterfeit clothes right now. Cause it's like it's not real, but you think it's real,
Hmm.
you know? And like, yeah, with because I know people who like there's one dude in particular, I won't say who it is, but like I can think of this one person who like spends all his paycheck on his kids' clothes and they're all Supreme.
Okay.
Like,
Right.
yeah, the Supreme hat, Supreme shirt.
Sure.
And like his Instagram photos of his kids are like, yeah, that's cool. You're like decked out. But I know you don't make that much to pay like,
Hmm.
$5,000 for a hat, you know, but you probably saved up and you bought it and you feel good about it. Whereas like the person who bought the counterfeit version is also feeling nice.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. I was about to
we're
say.
not
Yeah.
going, right? That's why I think like I always said this that marketers are like the best marketers are fashion marketers because you could just lie. It's just the best storytellers.
Hmm.
Yeah. But now I'm starting to think that the truly best marketers are the ones that convince you to donate because you're not even getting anything in return. At least with
Right.
a fashion, you're buying something that you think is cool.
Hmm.
But if you donate, nobody even knows you donated. So if you can convince me to donate money, that's like some next level chess.
Right.
Would you ever donate money?
Uh, I can't say never. Maybe,
Why would you donate money?
depending on the cause or how I feel.
Or would it be ease?
What do you mean ease?
Ease of donation.
What
Like,
What does
would
that
you
mean?
donate money? Like if you're at the checkout counter and you hit no,
Hmm.
right? That's a learned behavior. No, we're not going to do it. But what if it's like A tap. Actually, I don't even donate for taps. I don't know. I'm just trying to crack that code in myself. Like, what would make me donate? And I think the only thing that I can think of is if I bought something and it was associated with a donation. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
just make that crazy markup. You just follow the fashion industry trend. It's like I sell you a bracelet for $10, and then $9 of that is a donation. $1 actually went to cost.
Right.
Right? Is that the only way you would see yourself donating to? Like, I don't know what I would donate to.
Yeah, I get that. But even then, I don't know if I would donate like that. I feel like it's just more like at this point, if I'm what do you call that? Like financially secure,
I don't know. No, I don't know.
and if
I
I
don't even think that's the
feel
thing, though. I
no,
don't
I
think it's financial security because, like, I don't even feel that pull. Even if I had finance, because the first thing in my mind is like, what are you gonna do with that money?
mhm.
Wouldn't you think that too?
Again, yeah, it depends how you're donating it, right? If you know the person or who are you sending the cause to.
Give me an example. Wow,
Like
this became a marketing meeting. Look at this. Okay, no, no, I'm actually so curious though, because it's like,
it would have to be somebody that you would know, right? It's just someone personally or some in
so
that.
word of mouth kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be like a big thing or a big machine person or like
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
uh
It's like it has to be humanized.
yeah,
You can't be like a machine that's like asking you to donate. Or
sure,
like
yeah, 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 yeah.
it's sort of like when the tipper
But then it's
people.
also something that I would say that I'd believe in the cause too, right?
Okay, totally, 100%. So we have two hurdles. We have word of mouth and we have belief.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to satisfy those two things.
Sure.
Okay. But what I'm saying is just buy something. If it looks cool, you have no hurdles. People will buy it, just make the markup crazy. Because I saw in this like plant store that like, and this is a technique from fashion, which is what do you call that? Uh Off-white. You've heard of off-white?
I think so.
Okay, it's like high-end fashion. And what they do is like they'll have a wallet
Mm-hmm.
and the printing will say this is a wallet. And people love it. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, no doubt. This is a wallet, bro,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
So what I saw in this plant store was like, buying this bag will contribute to planting more trees. That's what it wrote on the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I almost bought that bag. It's $45. You would have had me. You know what I mean? It's like we just need to make you buy something that you would have bought anyways. Or like we need to make an extra storyline towards that thing you would have purchased, and then you get rid of having to make you believe in anything. I don't even care if you care about the cause, bro. I don't even care if I asked you to word of mouth it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's cool, you'll buy it, irregardless. Do you agree?
For me
No, no, just
or
like
for
that,
other people? Yeah, I think so.
or just in general.
In
For you,
general,
let's say for you.
uh, again, then you're trying to meet my cool factor.
Okay, what about this? A controller, a PlayStation 5 controller. You have two options: a regular controller and then another controller that's identical, but this one says um, buying this controller will contribute towards solving world hunger.
Now, are the controllers the same price?
Same. No, we're gonna make it harder for you. The controller's $5 more.
The which one is going to provide $5
The
more?
the world hunger.
Probably go for the cheaper one.
Damn it. All right, what if they're the same price?
Depends on how cool the controller is.
Exactly. See? Cool. That
Yeah,
was the thing. You
yeah.
just have to make it cool. So okay. So those are two
But
things
then,
that
yeah,
at the same time
again,
is
yeah,
kind
you
of
have to,
cool.
yeah, but that's like you're meeting the what I'm looking for, right?
Exactly, but that's what I mean. No,
Yeah,
no, totally, totally,
yeah.
totally. So like you just have to figure out something that your audience base will like, and you just sell them that thing for a markup, but contribute to a cause.
Hmm. But if you're selling, again, that's the thing. If it's marked up, but
Yeah, yeah,
there's a
totally.
normal controller I can get for $5 cheaper, you have to make it the same price.
No, no, no. But what if it looked cooler? What if the $5 more controller looked cooler than the regular one?
No, because I'm just using a controller. Like for me, that doesn't matter.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay. Hmm, interesting. Good point. Good point. Okay.
right?
You know what's funny? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, no.
Uh, this is what I do all like basically all day. You're
Hmm.
just like, what are we gonna do? How do we make this work? And then I just create it.
Right.
This is what the meeting would look like, or
Hmm.
does look like.
Right. Right. Right.
So I love marketing, man. It's so fun. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. I
it's
was just thinking
just
about
like,
like when you're mentioning all that because Apple does the thing with the red products, right?
ooh, interesting. Tell me.
Oh, it's for the eights, right? The
I have no idea about this, but go ahead.
with the red colored iPhones portion of that money.
What?
Yeah, they've been doing
That
that
means you
for
supported it?
years.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah.
That's cool.
Or not just like the red colored products. I don't know if they're doing those anymore, or
Yeah.
I think they do, right? I don't know, or they have probably stopped it now. I don't know what the situation is
Okay.
currently, but for
Yeah,
many,
yeah.
many, many years, they've been doing the red version. Portion of that money goes towards aid relief.
That's really cool. So you could, that's genius. Okay, there, I'm steal that tactic then. Those of you best in class marketers, just use that. Apple's like one of the best in class marketers. They're not in the fashion industry, but like, anyways, their marketing school. So if you see a bunch of phones and then you're like, what color do you want? You're like, I want the red one. Okay, that one directly contributes towards age relief. You're
Hmm.
like, oh, okay. Instead of a black one, go red. People will know. I'll signal to people that I am supporting good causes. Because that's what people go through in their minds. They're like, if I buy this, what does this mean about me? Even if it's like at a subconscious level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, Vish. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to steal these tactics that we just talked about on this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully next week, Discord will work, but if not, we'll fall back to this. This is a great alternative.
Hmm.
I like that I can make my custom background and I chose Cyberpunk
Right.
in the universe. All right. Until next time, Daisy Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.